All right, we got some more Strixhaven spoilers today. I think it's the full 275, right? Yeah. 275 have come out, so we're fully spoiled at this point. Gonna go through some pretty sick spoilers that I didn't see last week. Just kind of covering all the bases. I'm gonna start at common to uncommon and then mythics. We start with creatures and we'll do some sorceries and instant spells, and the last two are just some bomb mythic rares, like a double-sided creature and a planeswalker card as well. But starting first off here, Dina Soul Steeper. This is the uncommon portions of the creatures. This one is pretty good. The only downside to this one, it's legendary. But for 2 mana as a 1/3, not bad stats. When you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. That's pretty good. You can get pretty good drain going on, and combine this with veto as well. Obviously you can get some massive drain. You can also pay 1 and sack another creature to give Dina +X, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. So it's pretty good. Golgari, you know, all this life gain and life drain and stuff like that's going to be really strong. It's going to be fun to play with too. Another good uncommon in the creature slots is Demogoth Woe Eater. It's 4 mana, and I really like how they add in a dual slot, like black or green can pay for this. It makes it slightly more flexible. Like if I'm, you know, if I got too much green or too much black in my mana base or on the lands, you know, like sometimes, especially playing 3 color decks, you get kind of screwed on certain colors. So it definitely helps. So I can have a green black land here and pay for this, or I can have a land that's like green white, pay for this, or I can have a land that's like black white, pay for this side. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have dual lands that are not specifically, you know, if it would have to be black green or black green green, it gets kind of sometimes can screw you over, especially in 3 color decks. But this card is actually pretty good. 4 mana for a 7/6. The only thing is at your upkeep you have to sacrifice a creature. But I mean, if you have tokens, easily you curve into this on 4, you just sacrifice some tokens. I mean, easy, man. When you sacrifice the Woe Eater itself, I should say. I mean, is this somebody? I don't know, whatever. Itself, each opponent discards a card, you draw a card, and you gain 2 life. So if anything, you can put this down as a blocker, and then the next turn sacrifice Woe Eater, discard a card, have them discard a card, you draw a card and gain 2 life. So would you pay 4 mana for a discard a card, draw a card, gain 2 life? I mean, I would pay for that probably just by that. You know, maybe 3 mana for that, but the effect that comes on a 7/6 body, I mean, that's pretty crazy. Only for 4 mana, it's pretty good. For uncommon, it's really good value, man. And just have a little bit of token generation, it's fine. Also, keep in mind though that when you sacrifice Woe Eater, this trigger here is just on sacrifice. Like, it doesn't have to be on the upkeep trigger itself. So like I can put Demogoth, you know, and then if I sacrifice Demogoth on their turn with like a Witch's Oven, you know, like it still triggers that ability. So I can do it at instant speed. It doesn't have to be the upkeep trigger, so that's pretty good. All right, moving on. Callous Blood Mage. Going into the rare slots now for creatures. It's a 2/1 for 3. So very bad, right? That's stat line for 3 mana is very bad. But what you get, because it's a rare and 3 mana, what you get out of it is the flexibility, right? Because you get 3 modes here. That's really what you're paying for. You're not paying for the body. You're not paying for that 2/1, because that 2/1 body, that could be on a 1 mana creature. You know, we see 1 mana creatures that are 2/1s all the time, you know, in historic especially. Like, what we're paying for though, create a 1/1 black and green pest token with when this creature dies you gain 1 life, okay? Or draw a card and lose 1 life, okay? Or exile target player's graveyard. So we have built-in graveyard hate, we have some card draw, and we have some little go wide strategy, or like maybe aggro help, you know? You get 2 bodies for the price of 1. So now instead of 2/1, we have a 3/2. Okay? Or we just have a 2/1 that draws a card. You know, or in a lot of cases, graveyard hate's going to be important too now. There's going to be a lot of graveyard synergies going on. In historic, it's still been important. In standard now, a lot of the cards are going to have graveyard stuff, interaction, like, you know, exiling sorceries and instants from your graveyard, this and that. Like, You know, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on like that. So this card is not bad. It's not the top of my list, but you know, it's a decent rare. The flexibility is what makes it good. You got to forget about the fact that it's a 2/1, man. It's more important than just being a 2/1. It's the flexibility that matters. Okay. Sedgemoor Witch. Another rare. It's a 3/2 with Menace for 3. So therefore much better body than the other one we saw, right? I mean, this is much more aggressive too, right? Menace. You want to be attacking. You don't want something with Menace to be blocking. 3/2 Menace. It's got War to pay 3 life. So if they target it, they have to pay 3 life, or the spell that they targeted with gets countered. So pretty good. It sucks their life. And then the Magecraft, when you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you create a 1/1 pest token, the same as the other guy. All of those 1/1 pest tokens gain 1 life when they die. So, and that just feeds into your sacrifice ability, like Demogoth and all these other ones. See, I mean, you can curve straight into Demogoth. You know, like pay make some tokens with black, go wide strategies, 4 mana, double token strategies, black, white, green, Absan is what I'm thinking. Black, white, we also have the stockpile too. You know, we have there's a lot of options. Like, it could be really nasty, and those tokens can be replaced when you sacrifice them. Like, it's real nasty. And the fact that you have to pay 3 life to target this too just pushes through even more damage, right? Okay, I like this card. It's pretty good. Next, Dragon's Guard Elite. 2 mana, 2/2. Right, vanilla. That's vanilla. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1 counter on Dragon's Guard Elite. This is pretty good, actually. You get a low curve. Ooh, nice artwork. You get a low curve. Like, what I'm thinking is turn 1, like Jaspera Sentinel. Turn 2, Dragon's Guard Elite. And hold up like a protection spell or something, you know? For 1 mana. I mean, that's awesome. They go to kill it, boom, you protect it, puts a counter on it. You know, that one mana, 1 green protection spell too that came out. You could target that and make this a 4/4 instantly. Like, it's pretty nasty. Then once you get to 6 mana, you can double the counters on Dragon's Guard. So, I mean, this card is pretty good. It's an aggressive card. And it needs to be in a cheap, low curve deck. You know what I'm saying? Go wide, and then this one is basically buffed up by tiny spells that you're casting, and it works too with the spirit tokens and all that. And that, like the I can't remember the stupid name of the card now, but you know, that card, you cast 2 spells, you make a spirit token. Like, I mean, it works with that too. All right. Trick Proctor, this is a good card too. 2 mana for a 1/3 flyer. I mean, that's a good body, right? You can't shock it or bone crush it. Good ability. Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. Notably, this doesn't work on like Binding of the Old Gods or Elspeth's Nightmare, stuff like that. It doesn't work on sagas, but it works on other things. You know, like creatures, not just creatures, but permanents. You have to remember, like, even lands, okay? Like, if you lay like a scry land down, it won't work. You have to pay 2 to scry. It does work too on Lotus Field. Like, you know, if you lay it down, you have to pay 2, otherwise, or to have that ability to be able to stack the other land. So really, you just don't pay 2, and Lotus Field comes in, and you don't have to sacrifice other lands. So, I mean, this is like just like Death and Taxes, man. That's, you know, they're always going to be like this. But the fact that it's on a permanent is what I like. Like, man, it's like really nice. I mean, it counters basically all Urian stuff too. No Urian shenanigans. Like, you have to pay 2 to flicker something. You know, like Urian comes in, okay, pay 2 to be able to use that. I mean, it's like, it's pretty crazy. And then if something comes back, you know, and it triggers like Omen of the Sea, you got to pay 2 for that. I mean, like, it shuts down a lot of stuff, man. It's pretty cool. I like it. Next. Okay, this is my favorite rare creature from the set, I think. I think this has to be my #1 rare creature from the set. White black for a 3/2. I mean, that's already nasty body, right? A 3/2 for 2? Good. As it enters, choose a non-land card name. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with the chosen name, they lose 3 life and you draw a card. I mean, that's awesome, right? Like, you could pretty much tell what you're going to be playing against, right? And the people always say, every time you bring up stuff, they always say, oh, this dies to Bone Crusher. You know, it dies to Shock. I mean, everything dies to Bone Crusher and Shock, man. People have been playing aggro decks forever, and they always die to it. It's not going to change, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just... like, that's the standard for some reason when they evaluate cards. It's like, dude, people have been playing mono red, mono white forever, dude. And then they all die to Bone Crusher. I mean, you find ways to play around it, or maze, you know, like you make your deck a certain way, and you know, this is in white, so you can even protect this with a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do a lot of things. Not only that, like, if I just lay this down as a 3/2 and they Bone Crush it or Shock it or whatever they do, right? You know, because I know if he's gonna have a Bone Crusher, I'm gonna name Bone Crusher, right? And he Bone Crushes it to kill it. Well, they lose 3 life and I draw a card. I mean, if you're playing against a deck that's a control deck, right? You know, what they're running, Heartless Act or something like that. Okay, name that. Boom. You know, it's really good. The fact that you can back this up with discard, and then, okay, I see what you have in your hand, I'm going to name that. If you cast it, you're losing 3 life and I'm drawing a card. I mean, you can easily back this up. And it's aggressively slanted too. It's a 3 power body, man. Like, come on, it's good. Okay, Mythics. I'm not sure this should be a Mythic slot, but these are the Mythics for the set. So I do like this card though. It's a 3-mana 3/2, a little bit on the expensive side, but it's a Lord. It gives pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders +1/+1. I mean, you know, this is like some jank stuff you're going to be wanting to build around. This sweet artwork too, man. Like, really sweet. Also, when Blex dies, you gain 4 life. So that's really nice. I mean, you can make all kinds of sweet decks with all these pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders. And pests is like the new set. They have a lot of those 1/1 pests, you know, that die and gain 1 life. So you can make those into 2/2s. This is a really cool card. And the fact that it's double-sided means you can run, you know, more than 1-2 copies, this and that, if you want, because you can just cast the other side of it. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can put any number into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. You lose 3 life for each card you put in your hand this way. Basically, it could be a draw 5, right? But you have to pay life. But again, if you're in this life gain style of deck, Golgari or maybe Abzan or whatever, you should have tons of life gain, man. So at the bare minimum, right, you pick the best card out of it, you lose 3 life, or maybe you lose 6 life, 9 life, 3 cards, 15 life, you can draw 5 cards. And you're like, oh, 15 life, wow. It's not that. Look, this dude gains 4 life by himself, man. He pays for a card and then a little bit extra. So, I mean, this card is interesting. It's fun. It's going to be fun to build around, like, mess with, you know, definitely. All right, one of the dragons I liked. Beladros Witherbloom, 7 mana, pretty expensive for a 4/4. That's really not that great. But at the beginning of each upkeep, you create a 1/1 pest token. That's got the, you know, when it dies, gain 1 life ability, of course, like all they do. And you can pay 10 life to untap all lands you control. And you activate this only once each turn. So each turn you can activate this, man. So you can lay this down for 7 mana, pay 10 life, boom, untap all your lands, have 7 mana again. Or whatever, you know, whatever mana you have. And then their turn, boom, you get a 1/1. Your turn, 1/1. Their turn, 1/1. Every upkeep. You can also pay 10 on their turn to untap it again if you wanted to. And like gain life or do something with it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, dude, this thing is like a dragon version of like the Saproling creator, you know? Every upkeep you get a Saproling. It's pretty good. It's not insane like, oh, this is like, you know, busted card. No, it's just something that would be fun, you know. Definitely going to be something worth, you know, messing with or playing around, trying to figure out some cool ways to manipulate that 10 life untap lands advantage, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, let's go on to instant sorceries. There's a lot of good removal in this deck and some good counter spells in this, not in this deck, but this set. Pretty good common here. This is pretty funny. For 4 mana, you can draw 2 cards and put a land from your hand to the battlefield. This is like a growth spiral, but just a little bit beefier, you know? It's like a double growth spiral. Draw 2 cards and then put a land down, you know? It's pretty cool. Not bad for a common. Okay, uncommon talent exam. 1 blue, counter target enters sorcery spell. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any cards with the same name as the countered card and exile them. That player draws a card for each card removed from their hand. So, first thing that comes to mind for me, probably a lot of people, you know, is the Sultai Ultimatum, right? Immersion Ultimatum. Counter it for 2 mana. Exile all the rest copies of your Sultai Ultimatum, you know. But I mean, there's a lot of uses for this too. Whether or not this is main deck or sideboard, I would definitely probably say more of a sideboard card because it's instant and sorceries only. But it's definitely something that's worth seeing. Like even against rogues, I mean, counter your Drown in the Loch and then exile the rest of your Drown in the Lochs. It's like, damn. Okay. I mean, it's probably a really good sideboard, I think. Necrotic Fumes, 1 black. This is a lesson noted. As an additional cost to cast, you exile a creature you control. You know, usually you exile a token. It's black, man. You know, you're gonna exile a token or some fodder that you don't need, a little 1/1, and you can exile a creature or planeswalker. Powerful, I think, for uncommon. I think it's really good. Exiling a little token that you have or some useless 1/1 that can't get through on the board anyways, I think is really good. And the fact that it exiles, not kills, destroys, exiles creatures or planeswalkers. Okay, moving on to some sick sorcery here. Humiliate. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. They discard that card. You also get to put a +1 counter on a creature you control, which is kind of like just icing on the cake. Like, I mean, it's good already. You don't need it, but basically like flavored text on it. But the fact that it hits non-land cards, right? It's not just a non-creature. It's not just a creature, not just a, you know, certain type of spell. This is reminiscent of, what is that, black-blue, you know, that was in standard for a long time. You know, y'all probably know what I'm talking about. What is it? Thought Erasure? Yeah, Thought Erasure, I think, right? I always forget names. I know the card. I know what it is. I just forget the stupid name of it. I'm bad with names on people too, anyways. Like, hey, what's your name, man? Oh, John. Okay, nice to meet you, man. And then like 2 minutes later, I'll be like, all right, man, we'll see you later. I don't remember your name, but yeah, anyways, they reveal their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. So really good. Black-white colors. Black-white strong. Green is strong. And white-red is strong. There's a lot of really strong areas. Castigate. Remove that card from the game. Oh yeah, that one's even worse, huh? Castigate. I remember that old card. Okay, Mortality Spear. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you gain life this turn. So it's 4 mana, but if you gain life, it's black-green. Destroy target non-land permanent. I've heard people saying, oh, this card is okay, this card's okay. Like, 2 mana to destroy a target permanent, non-land permanent, at instant speed. Like, yeah, they're like, well, you have to gain life. Like, dude, how easy to gain life? You're playing black-green. It's gonna be all life gain, man. It's gonna be easy. You're paying black-green at instant speed? It's not sorcery, dude. If this was sorcery, I'd definitely step it down. But the fact that it's instant speed to destroy a non-land permanent, I mean, gaining life is so easy, man, in those colors, dude. This is crazy, man. Abzan control, dude, like straight up, man. Or like Golgari tokens or something, like, yes. That card's awesome. Decisive Rejection, green-blue. You choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3 mana. So it's basically a green-blue mana leak, or it's a green-blue fight spell at instant speed. Good. Great card, very flexible, good for blue-green flash or other types of decks, you know. Closing Statement. This is another one that's like has like a high mana cost, but it gives you like a reduced mana cost for certain parameters. I kind of like how they do that too. Like, it allows you to like cast things faster playing a certain way or, you know, doing a certain thing to meet the requirement, or you can just cast it for its raw cost if you don't want to, which is also fine in the late game, you know? I mean, it's pretty nice. So 5 mana to destroy a creature or planeswalker you don't control, and then put a +1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. So namely, you don't have to have a creature when you do this, because you just select 0, but you destroy target creature or planeswalker. So for 5 mana, it is a little bit pricey, right? But the catcher, it costs 2 less mana if you cast it during your end step. So it's like, well, why would you want to cast in your end step? Why? Because you pay 3 mana to destroy a creature or planeswalker at instant speed. That's why, for an uncommon. Like I said, you don't have to pay it. You can go to your turn, or you can go to their turn. I'm sorry, you can go to their turn and then pay 5 mana. Or you do it on your end step, just pay 3 mana. Boom. You save 2 mana by doing it on your end step. Like, I mean, the fact that you have that flexibility in there is crazy. Because being able to destroy a creature or planeswalker with no limitations at instant speed, dude, is probably I think probably a 4 mana effect, but you can do it at 3 mana. So I think it's good. It's good value. I mean, it ain't no Hero's Downfall, but you know, it's uncommon. Hero's Downfall was rare, I think, right? Yeah. Okay, Fracture. This is one of my favorites here. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Black, white, instant. So this is probably more of a sideboard card too, right? Because you want artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. You want it to be able to hit those. But the fact that it's super flexible and cheap and instant speed, like, oh man. And the artwork is great too. This card is awesome. I love it. Okay, moving on to some rares. Elimination Ritual. For 4 mana, 2 black green. It's a sorcery speed. Destroy each non-land permanent with a mana value 2 or less. And then from there, you add green or black for each permanent destroyed this way. Okay, couple things to note here. It's not limited to your opponent's permanents. You can destroy your own permanents and make a bunch of mana, right? You got like a bunch of tokens or whatever you have down, a bunch of mana rocks, artifacts, a bunch of little treasure tokens. Destroy all of them, make a bunch of green and black mana, okay? And you can pump out an insane amount of mana with this, because it also sweeps your enemy stuff up too. The main thing I'm thinking about here, cat oven decks, right? This Jund sacrifice decks, right? They got the cats, they got the food tokens, they got the witches ovens. You know, like this is crazy, man. You wipe away all their food tokens, man. You wipe all the food away, and then you make a bunch of mana for it. Like, this is sick, man. Very, very sick card. All right. Next, Vanishing Verse. This card's awesome, dude. Black, white, instant speed. Exile a monocolored permanent. Oh. Beautiful. Beautiful, man. All right. Arnis Infinity. This is a pretty sweet card. It's a mythic. It's probably not my favorite from the set, but keep in mind, it does cost 7 mana. It's black, 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 green, 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 and then 1. So 7 mana, very specific to Golgari, right? And then you exchange your hand and graveyard. Okay, so your hand's empty, probably. Or just, you know, lands, whatever. So just get everything from your graveyard to your hand, basically. And then you just discard the lands or whatever useless cards you don't want. You take everything good out of it you want. But keep in mind, too, it's at instant speed. So you don't have to go... You won't be able to discard as much. You don't have to. I do this on the opponent's end step, right? 7 mana, get my graveyard in my hand. Instant speed, right? Then I take everything, play all the good stuff I want out, go down to 7 cards, I'm good. I mean, like, dude, this is powerful, man. This is very powerful. Okay. Now we got 2 mythics left here. This is a legendary creature. This one was really actually pretty sick, dude. This is 6 blue blue, so 8 mana for a 5/5. Not very good value, but you can discard a card and return the Oracle to your hand. Okay, that's the first ability. Second ability is Magecraft ability. So when you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it by paying 1 rather than paying its mana cost. If it's a land card, you put it straight to the battlefield. So if I see an Ugin off the top, I'm paying 1 mana for an Ugin. Right? I mean, dude, you can do some busted stuff with this, man. It is 8 mana, but a 5/5 body's pretty fat, right? So it's not going to die to like any type of red removal or something like that. You know, people say it dies to Doomblade. This and that. Well, the Doomblade should be gone by then. Okay? The backside of it. 4 mana, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Then if you control 8 or more lands, you may discard a card. If you do, return Journey to the Oracle to its owner's hand. Okay? So if you put any number of lands from your hand onto the battlefield, first of all, for 4 mana. Then at that point, if you have 8 or more lands, you can discard a card, right? So when you discard that card, you can return this card to your hand and then play it for the other side. I mean, like, sick, man. You can do some sick stuff with this, dude. And like, it's the potential is limitless. Magecraft is super easy to trigger, and then you're going to be paying 1 for non-land spells. Non-land spells off the top, man. You're going to pay 1 mana for stuff that's 6, 7, 8, 10 mana. You never know. You never know what you can do, man. It's non-land. It's limitless. It's crazy. You cast an opt, dude. You can cast an opt and pay 1 mana for a freaking Emergent Ultimatum. I mean, dude, it's whatever, dude. You pay 1 mana for Ugin by casting opt. Ponder, you know what I'm saying? You can ponder, look at it. Oh, set this up. Okay, put that there. Boop, draw it. Pay 1 mana. Boom. I mean, dude. Crazy. Okay. One of my favorite cards from the set right here. And probably my favorite Planeswalker from the set. At least one of them. I do like the Kasmina Enigma Sage too, but and I like the new Liliana as well, but this one is sick. Reason being is because it's a Planeswalker this side and a freaking creature on the left side, dude. It's awesome. So 1 white, 3 mana, specific to a probably red-white deck, right? Because you got double white, double red here. So specific kind of the Boros colors at least, or at least maybe like Jeskai, but it's got to be heavy red-white. So it's a 2/3 creature. Whenever an opponent attacks 1 or more Planeswalkers you control, you put a loyalty counter on each Planeswalker you control. So keep in mind too with this ability, you have 2 Planeswalkers out, they attack it with this wolf out. Even if they just attack like one of your Planeswalkers, all of your Planeswalkers get a loyalty counter on them. So it's pretty cool. Second ability, that's a static ability. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. It's also optional. You don't have to draw, you know. If you're getting milled out, maybe you don't want to draw or something like that. I don't know. Point being is, though, you may draw a card when it becomes the target of a spell or ability. Very nice. Okay, the backside. My favorite side right here. Luca, 6 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. Come in, +1, he goes to 6 loyalty. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. So you get a looting for +1. But there's a catch. If you discard a creature, then you draw 2 cards instead of 1. So really, really awesome. The fact that it's a creature and a Planeswalker, and this kind of synergizes with this, right? You know, you draw like some useless creature that you don't want. Maybe, you know, let's say you're even playing this in like a Naya color, right? Like a Llanowar Elves, you draw it late game. Okay, discard Llanowar Elves, draw 2 cards. You can turn useless creatures late game into 2 cards. His -2, return creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of your next upkeep. So you can get fatties out of your graveyard with haste. His 7 mana, which you can get to in only 3 turns, man. He comes in 6, comes in 7. Boom. You know, 2 turns later, boom, you're ultimating this thing. You get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. You basically turn this thing into, you know, the dragon emblem. What is the dragon? Everybody knows the emblem. See, I forget the names all the time, you know. the 5/5 dragon that basically, you know, when the creature enters, it deals damage to its power to any target. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, this card is sick, man. Definitely, namely, I want to say a lot better than this old Luca, but this one is still trying to cheat out creatures. Luca always tries to cheat out creatures somehow, man. But last time you got him out of your deck. This time you get him out of your graveyard, which I think is pretty cool because the fact that you can +1 and discard a creature, right? Discard a fat creature that you don't have mana to cast, and then you -2 him later and get him, you know? And you're going to be drawing 2 cards. You have card advantage, right? You have creature recurrence, and then you have just straight damage to the face, man, or just board control. I mean, this is a nice card, man. Really nice. The fact that it has a creature on the left side of it too is awesome. You can play this early game if you draw another one. You know, like, okay, well, I'll play Luca now, you know? Or if you draw this and you play it, right? And then you draw another Myla. Like, I don't want a Myla right now. It's too late in the game for that. Okay, we just discard it and draw 2 cards. Maybe even get it back, you know? Like, who knows? This is probably my favorite Planeswalker of the set, so those are my cards that I've enjoyed looking at that have been the most interesting. If you can comment if you want, tell me what cards that you like. If I missed a card, or like, oh, this card was really sweet, or if you agree with anything of the cards that I like. And please like, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, whatever, comment, any support, thank you. And thank you for watching the video.